morning and welcome to Viscount Leisure. My name's Chris and I'm going to be doing a tour around this caravan for you today. What we're going to do is set off around the outside, then move our way through onto the inside, showing you how everything works, where it operates from, seeing it working, and some hints and tips along the way. So with no further ado, we're going to set off by the entrance door, the way into your caravan, commonly known as the habitation door. As you can see, we can close that over like so, pull the handle, let's it back over, click it back shut into that position, pull the little grey handle to release it. From inside, I've got a fixed pane plastic window there with a blackout blind to black out that light at night so I get a good night's sleep. I've got a split stable door that I can fetch over and shut in half like so, and I've also got my door lock from that position there and unlock from position there, with a waste bin on the bottom and a built-in door fly screen to keep all those midges out in these lovely hot summer days. So we can close that there. We've got two full sets of keys with this caravan. One key fits all, so there's two keys, one spare, one master key. Turn it to the rear to lock it and out, turn it to the front, back in and unlock it like so. Working our way above there, we've got our awning light, and that's my awning light which will shine light into the awning when I've got it out, or it gives me an entrance door light when I come back in the evening. And I'll show you the switch from that, which is switched from inside when we get inside the van shortly. First thing we come across when we're working around our van in a clockwise direction is an external locker door. This is under the front bench seat here, and you can see from there that we've got a nice wet locker tray, so I can store wet items of equipment, hiking boots, welly boots, walking boots, mains leads, levelling wedges, etc. I can store in there in a nice wet tray there with a drain down through the middle. Finished with that, we can close that up like so, and that is accessible from outside here and inside also, as we will see very shortly, and we can lock that off like so. Coming through now, we come to our gas barbecue point here. If I choose to buy myself a gas barbecue, I can then connect the hose up to the bayonet connection that comes supplied with the van with a Jubilee clip on the end. That stays with the hose all the time. So when I come to use my barbecue, I plug that in like so. That connects the gas pipe to the barbecue, and I can turn the valve on the top there and off like so. And that then takes the gas directly from my gas bottle on board the caravan. So for now, I'm just going to put that on the step to remind me to take it inside, because when we go inside, we'll find that we've got a little red canvas bag which is full of all the handbooks that this caravan came in with, so they're all relevant to this van, and we'll put that in there so you know exactly where it is. There are two things you've got four of on this van. The first thing is the grab handles, one on each corner, so that four adults can attempt to manhandle this van around by hand. You can push it forwards, backwards, very difficult to turn as it's a twin wheel caravan, but we can manhandle it with the handles there provided. The second thing we've got four of is our four corner steadies, termed corner because there's one on each corner, steady because they're there to steady the van. The whole remit of those is to stabilise the van prior to our family getting inside. So what do we do when we get on site? We simply reverse our van onto the allocated pitch that we've been given, and once we're there we make sure that we're level from left to right. We do this by reversing up onto ramps or wedges on the side that's low, so we can get the van level from left to right. When we're happy that it's level, we put the handbrake on, disconnect our tow vehicle from our caravan, and historically we've always parked to the left of our caravan on any site we go to. That's your allocated parking space. Once you've done that, I recommend you leave your family in there while you level your caravan from front to back. So we do that by operating the jockey wheel there, which will raise or lower the front of the caravan. Once it's level front to back, left to right, I can then go around with the handle provided, which is this one here, okay, and put that in onto the bolt on the corner steady, and then I can wind those legs up and down 1, 2, 3 and 4 as we go around, okay, and they're there just to put a little bit of pressure on, but they're purely there to stabilize the van. Now we talk quite a bit about us leveling and getting our van level. There are three reasons for that. The main reason is the fridge. The fridge, although when we look at it, looks very much like our fridge at home with a fridge and a freezer. However, it operates completely different, we'll talk about very shortly. So the van needs to be level for that to operate at maximum efficiency. The second reason is our water drainage from our wash hand basin, kitchen sink and shower also operates that much better and drains away that much better also. And thirdly, our own comfort and peace of mind. There is attached on here little level, okay, so you can guess that's right there, and it most likely wants to come up slightly at the front. So for filming purposes, we've just got it put in there. Next thing we come to discuss is the A-frame, the contents of it, how to operate it and how to connect to your tow vehicle. Okay, it's a lot to take in, but don't worry, because when you come to collect your van, we'll be there on site, ready and at hand to connect up for you for the first time and show you exactly what to do. But the pieces of equipment here, the first thing is our jockey wheel, and as I said, I can raise and lower my van with the steadies down, up rather, to get it level. When I'm storing this away, I wind it all the way up into the slot, and then I fetch the jockey wheel, undo the handle and slide it up into its stored position. For now, I'm just going to leave it there, okay, so when we move it very shortly, it will be already there, and just put the weight on there slightly. The next thing we've got is our handbrake, and connected to our handbrake is what's known as a breakaway cable. So our handbrake is push the button in, push the handbrake down like so. With a breakaway cable, we either take it round to the tow ball of our vehicle and hook it round like so, or we hook it onto an eye if our tow ball's got an eye on it to hook it into. The sole purpose and the whole idea of that is that when your vehicle become your caravan become detached from your tow vehicle, that will snatch at that, pulling on the handbrake, stopping your caravan in a nice controlled manner, straight line, all being well. So that's the whole idea of the breakaway cable on there, which works in conjunction with the handbrake. Always make sure your handbrake's on when you're parked up. Coming through now, we come to our 13-pin electric socket, which will connect into the 13-pin electric socket you'll have on your car, or you will fit to your car. If you have already got a tow bar and it's 7 pins, then there is an adapter to convert that 7 pin to 13, but not all the items of equipment will work if you do that. So idealistically, you need a 13-pin socket wired on your car for the 13-pin socket on your caravan. That goes in and twists and turns into the socket, and that will primarily power all your lights, indicators, rear lights, fog lights, reversing lights, high level lights, etc, etc. It's got a couple of other functions on there that carry on through. Because everything in our van works off a leisure battery, it will also charge my leisure battery when I'm travelling from A to B, C to D, etc. So it will put a charge in, so if I'm going from site to site, it will charge that leisure battery. It will also go through and charge the fridge and run the fridge while I'm travelling once I select the fridge to 12 volt. This will only happen with the engine running on our tow vehicle. It takes the power from the vehicle alternator charging system, powers a little electric element, which then starts to chill or maintains our fridge when we're travelling. Finally, it also powers up our ATC on there, which is automatic traction control. When you connect up, you'll hear that whir and kick into position. It'll either flash green or you'll have a green light solid on there. If it's flashing green, it just means that the caravan needs to pair up to the car when you do your first few hundred yards up the road. The idea of the ATC is it works a braking system in conjunction with the tow vehicle and gives you a much safer, better drive. We now come through to the head, which we connect to our tow vehicle. On this one, and with this one, is a hitch lock, and the long thin key there, which you've got 2 of, goes in, turn it to the rear, remove the bolt out there like so, and then that will lift back like so and off, and there is my hitch lock off. Now that hitch lock comes off obviously to connect up to our tow vehicle. The handle that connects to the tow ball lifts back like that, and what we then do is reverse our tow vehicle up underneath there, lowering down the jockey wheel. Once the jockey wheel's lowered down, that will click shut like so, and then what we do is we raise that jockey wheel back up, watch the back of our tow vehicle rise. When we're happy that the back of the tow vehicle is risen and it's unconnected, we can wind and store away our jockey wheel. Once that's down, we can then push down on the Alco stabilising head unit, which is that handle there, and inside there is 4 plastic dome mushroom thrust pads, and they will go onto and lock onto the tow ball of our tow vehicle. It's quite a firm, hard push because it's locking those on, and that's designed to minimise the snaking and the pitch and roll, i.e. the movement from left to right and the pitch and roll, the up and down movement. It will minimise that. It's of paramount importance prior to coming to collect your van that the tow ball on your tow vehicle is shiny steel. If you've just had one fitted, it'll be high gloss black paint. You need to scarify that all off, clean it back and get it to a nice shiny steel finish. That will not operate efficiently if it's not connected to a clean steel ball, and it certainly will damage the pads if it goes onto the paintwork. So you need to clear that all the way back. Once you've done that, then you're ready to connect up and go. The other thing is, if you've got a tow ball and you've been using it for a unbrake trailer or a horse box or something that's got a greased hitch, it needs to be fully degreased as well for that to operate correctly. We never put the hitch lock on when we're travelling, for the reason being emergency services might need to come along and do something at some point. We never know what may well happen. Therefore, we always travel with our hitch lock on. When we've got onto site like this, we're all connected and we're all in position. We can then come along and put our security on like so, and it's exactly roles reversed. Yeah, hitch on, pin through, locked off like so, and down. Coming round to the other side now, we're working our way up and through. There you can see your corner steady, your grab handle, and then the first thing we come across is a water barrel. Now, if this is your first van and you're new to this and you're not transferring from van to van, then items of equipment you'll need to purchase, and I'll point these out as we go. So one of these items you'll need to purchase is the Aquaroll, which is a 40-litre water barrel. So you've got to take that off to the tap on your site, fill it up, fetch it back, stand it here, and then you drop in the external pump into the barrel like so, push it into the side of the van, put the lid down. So when we power up the pump inside, or we now operate a tap, it'll take water from that barrel and put it through inside to the van, through the taps, through the shower, etc, etc. Also, a feature on this van is it's also got an internal tank, which is a bit like having a second barrel, because when you get there for the first time, you can use this barrel to fill that tank up, and then you can come back and fill this up. So then you've got about 70 litres, 40 in here, 30 inside. So you've got two tanks, and we'll see that and the operation of that and how to fill that and how to change over to use it as an emergency, really, okay, as a spare once we get inside the caravan. Just sat behind here is my boiler. My boiler does my heating and hot water, okay, and it can be used on gas and or electric at the same time. So we can use it on electric, we can use it on gas, or we can use it on both, and that'll become a bit more clearer when we look at the panel of how to operate that again when we get inside the caravan. Next thing along is my LPG locker, my gas locker, okay, because there's a few do's and don'ts and hints and tips along the way with the gas locker. Preferably, if you can get hold of it, you could do with 2 bottles, for the simple reason if you run out of one, you can change over to the second one. Secondly is you must have it strapped in, okay, sits in the cradle, strap goes round, straps it in, okay, so it needs to be strapped in prior to travelling. Once it's in, they're normally in and stay strapped in unless you need to take it out to empty it. On top there, the brass valve is my isolating valve, so I can close that and open it, opening in anti-clockwise, close in a clockwise direction. That then allows the gas out through the hose, in through the regulator, which reduces bottle pressure down to van working pressure, and then comes off, down and through the manifold system inside the van. So each appliance in the van that operates on gas can be independently isolated in a case of emergencies. Okay, some tips here. This is a back to front thread, so to tighten that we go anti-clockwise, and to undo it we go clockwise. It's written on the end of there, and we will see that because that's my test bottle of gas, and I'll show you how we take that off and what you would do if that bottle was empty and put it onto another one. Another good tip is always when you turn your gas on for the first time, go in and light your hobs. It's the only visual source you've got of your gas coming through and it lighting correctly. Once you've got gas through there, you can go along and light your other appliances quite happily. Once you've got gas through there, you can go along and light your other appliances quite happily. Once you've got gas through there, you can go along and light your other appliances quite happily. Once you've got gas through there, you can go along and light your other appliances quite happily. and I'm making sure they're all everything will light first time every time. Okay, so again, ideally you get 2 bottles in there so you can change over from one. All right, and the biggest thing is always turn your gas off on the valve on the top before you drive off, and that is for safety reasons. Okay, so that is the most important. Gas off before you drive off for safety reasons. Then we can close the door on there, and we'll come back and take that off very shortly. Coming through along to the rear here, then you'll just see back aft of the wheel is 2 grey water outlets. Now that's the drains from my wash hand basin, kitchen sink and or shower. Okay, so they will come down. In the locker on the other side, I've supplied you with a nice length of grey hose, and again, when you purchase your Aquaroll, you would really need to purchase your a Wastemaster, and that's a long oblong barrel that lays down there that takes the grey water from, as we said, the wash hand basin, kitchen sink and shower, and takes it into the waste barrel itself, known as a Wastemaster. That can then go off on site and empty it. Pretty much the rule of thumb is when that barrel's empty, that'll be full, and you go and do all your ablutions at the same time. Coming through to the back corner here, this is our toilet. Now with the toilet on here, okay, it's no different to going to a toilet at home. Instead of it going down a 6-inch soil pipe into a sewer, it's going through a 3-inch gate valve into a holding tank. Instead of having a flush tank that you flush the water, it fills up automatically. This has got an 8-litre header tank that we manually fill up with fresh water, and we add a pink additive to it. Now the level of pink is up to yourself, it's how strong you want to see it go down the toilet, but it does 3 things. It gives you a nice fragrant smell when you flush the toilet. It will also lubricate the pump that's inside that tank to pump it round the toilet, and thirdly, it mixes with a chemical in the bottom tank quite nicely to break the contents down. So in the bottom tank down here, again you can see the same key fits everything. Down we go, and there is the toilet cassette itself. So lift the handle, we can extract the toilet from there. Now if that toilet doesn't come out with the ease that I've just demonstrated, what you see inside your van is that. What it means is somebody's gone to the toilet and left that gate open, thus putting that across the van like so. If that's across the van like that, okay, there is no way that toilet will come out. So you then need to run inside, go in, close the toilet gate and extract the toilet. With the toilet out, you can then pull it out. You can either wheel it along to what is known as an Elson point or carry it by hand. Either or, when you get there, give it a good shake up and then turn the spout round like so, undo the cap, putting it somewhere safe, well away from the toilet, and then turning it round, press the little button in which is an air in while you pour the contents out. It stops a bit of bubbling and backflash in there because the air is pushing out the contents. Once you're done, there's always a hose pipe there. Hose it round, clean it out, wash it out to the cleanliness of the standard level that you want it, and then come back to your caravan. Once you're back to your caravan, you can charge your toilet ready for use. And the good book, should you read it, says 75ml, half a cap of blue chemical and 2 litres of water. My little tip is a couple of glugs of blue chemical, because you're not going to get it everywhere, all over you, and no water if you're using your toilet, because you will naturally dilute it down. However, if I've finished with it now and I'm not going out for a few weeks, I just flush the toilet, put a little bit of water in there to dilute it down. In the winter, however, is a different kettle of fish. I would empty it, clean it, bleach it, tide it, clean it all out, and I'd put it away completely empty. Speaking of winter, we said there's water in that tank. We will at the end of this talk about winterizing your van, and that's how you will find it when you collect it, with everything drained down. Well, we need to drain this tank because, as we said, there's a pump inside there, and we all well know when water freezes it expands. When the water expands, it's got the likelihood of cracking or damaging the pump. So just down here, little black hose there cups up and comes off, and then by pinching that, pulling the plug, I can then drain that tank down to ground, which we've already pre-done. There's just the last few dregs in there. Okay, that makes sure that is empty. It's quite a good practice to get into to do it prior to each trip, because it takes a bit of weight off the back end. Okay, and it will stop it splodging around inside. Also, I always drain that down into a gallon container, and then I recycle it and put it back in when I get there at the other end. So that's your toilet and some tips on that. Coming round to the back, we've got our grab handles, our lighting clusters, our high level brake lights there, and then we come round and through down to this side here, and the first thing we come across is another wet tray, another access locker here, underneath the rear bed of the van. So you'll see we've got plenty of storage in there, and that we will see when we get inside the caravan shortly. There's a length of grey water hose that you can cut up, chop up, put two into one by a little T-piece, okay, to go for your 2 outlets into your Wastemaster, or just cut it in half and use 2 going into one place on the barrel. There's a jack there for the spare wheel, and here we have a pair of Alcoat secure wheel locks, and we will demonstrate those at the end when we operate the motor mover that's on this caravan. Okay, so there we have a second locker, so that's ideal for windbreaks, chairs, tables, etc, etc. While we're here, we'll just put our corner steady handle in there like so we know where that is also. Okay, just underslung there is my spare wheel. Okay, so that's where my spare wheel is, just under the van in line there. We now come across to our 240 volt mains inlet. So if I'm on a site with mains electric, I would need to purchase a mains lead, but that mains lead's a 25-metre lead, okay, and if I've got electric supplied I might as well use it, so I plug my electric into the van and then I go off and plug it into my point of electric, and that's pretty important because that way I'm always dealing with dead power, I'm never dealing with live power. So into van, into electric, out of electric, out of van is the golden rule. For health and safety reasons, it reduces the risk of harm, injury or electrocution to yourself. The other thing is, we just said you would purchase a 25-metre lead, and a lot of people buy that and a drum, and then they coil it up on the drum and they only need to plug into there and they leave it coiled up. The trouble with that is the cable's going to overheat, melt down the contents of it, and then you won't have any mains electric. So I always suggest that you fake that mains lead out all nicely along the side of the van, and that then reduces the risk of that happening. Alongside that and forwards of that, we've now got our external 240 volt socket there, which is very much like a square pin domestic socket. That will only work when I'm connected up with mains electric. Now the reason we say you might choose not to go on a site on mains, there's plenty of caravan rallies on fields in the middle of nowhere where you'd operate everything on gas and your leisure battery. Okay, if you do go on mains sites, then that mains backs up everything and you would prioritize that because you're paying for it in your premium at the end of the day. So that's your mains electric, and that mains outlet socket, if I'm plugged in, means I could put an extender board out here, have a little hot plate, little lamp in my awning, whatever I wanted to use. But please remember, electric and water don't mix terribly well, and even on not so much peak summer but going out of summer into summer, we still get dew and condensation on the ground. If you leave your leads out, your extender board on the ground, it gets damp, it's got the risk then of tripping the electrics, and then you wake up and you'll have a freezer and a fridge not working, etc, etc. So always remember to put your electrics away. Next thing we come across is the 2 vents here. These 2 vents are for my fridge, they're known as fridge vents, and we said the fridge looked very similar to a domestic one you've got at home but operates totally different. What happens is in the back of here is a liquid. It needs heat to change it to a gas. The gas is a cooling medium, cools the fridge down, comes back as a liquid and carries on, which is why we need our van level. There are 3 independent heating mediums for that, and in order of efficiency, the least efficient is a 12 volt from our car when we're travelling from A to B, C to D with our engine running. The next more efficient is our 240 volt electric, will operate while I'm plugged into mains electric, and the most efficient, which gives you the most heat, especially in the winter, is on gas. They all tend to work quite well. It's just that the 12 volt one doesn't have the same power to maintain and get the temperature down as quick as some of the others. So there's 3, and we'll see how to change over and what to do on the fridge panel itself when we get inside. So you need the vents to allow the circulation of air around the back, and that is your fridge. On here we've got the twin wheels, and we have a motor mover, and the motor mover will demonstrate at the end of how your van operates and moves on that mover. So picking up my gas barbecue point, I can now go inside to my caravan, and the first thing I see is my handbook pack just sat there in the front. So with my handbook pack I can then drop that bayonet connection in there like so, and in there is all the relevant handbooks to your van. When you come to collect your van, you'll always find it in the second drawer down, just there like so, and that's below the drawer above, and above that drawer we've got a little breakfast bar area, so I can pull that out if there's just two of us and sit there and have my breakfast in the morning, my coffee and biscuits at 10 o'clock, and my pork and cheese and biscuits in the evening, sat around there, unless it's a lovely summer's day, and then I will be outside. Okay, so what we're going to do in the caravan is we're going to go through the van, same way around. We'll just do a quick scan around. So you've got your front bench seats here, which makes up into a second bed, coming through to the kitchen area and through to our mid bedroom there, and back to my lovely end bathroom. So starting off down at the front here, we'll set off with our overhead lockers. There we have one that's empty. We come into this one here, and that's my first overhead locker, which houses my TV aerial. By slackening off the collar there, I can raise that TV aerial and direct it around in the direction to get the best picture possible on my TV. The little lever on the bottom there is that I can alter the plane of the dish on the top. Okay, so that will give me a horizontal or vertical on the top plate there, which shows you on the little notice to try to pick up an even better signal. Once I'm done, I'm down, stored like so, little red dot this way, indicator facing forwards, and just nip that off from there. That then comes along through and into a TV booster, and from that booster it boosts the signal out through to the radio and to TV points in the van. I can switch that booster on and off from the switch on the top like so. If I'm on a greenfield site and wanted to save power off my battery, I would more than likely switch that off if it wasn't in use. Cupboard comes down and closes like so, and I've got two cupboards on the other side. Always recommend lightweight equipment up top, heavyweight stuff down below. So crisps, chocolate and peanuts upstairs, wines, beers and spirits down below. I then come through to my radio here.
In Parkstone and Mark.
There we are. Switched on from the source button there is on and off, volume control, standard JVC CD radio. Okay, off on there like so. There we are, switched off. Faceplate release on there. Catch that, and there is the little box for that to go in also there. Okay, so we can store that away into there like so, and down and through into the handbook pack is where you'll find your radio faceplate, just in there. Okay, your windows all open like so. They're all the same on this caravan, so we could just make sure these little thumb screws are slackened off, and we push the window out, lock it off into position, any given position like so, and that will lock the window off like that. And then from the top down I've got a fly screen, and from the bottom up I've got my blackout blind, so I can vent and shade in the daytime. At night I can close it all the way up like so. I can leave the window open to get the ventilation that I need. Okay, and I can shade it so I can have ventilation and sit and watch the TV or read a book. And all of these windows are the front. The exception is this one opens. It doesn't open as far. It's got a blackout blind at the top because it won't open too far past there, but it's got that fly screen and blackout blind there like so, and back up into position like that. And coming through, all your windows operate the same. This front here makes into a double bed, and the easy way to make it into a double bed is just move the cushions off onto the sill like so. Just in the bottom here is a leader board that we pull. That will pull out, okay, all the way out just like that. And then I always recommend that you turn the cushions upside down, 1 and 2, okay, like that, and that gives you a nice flush level playing field and a huge double bed at the front. Okay, so you've got a double bed there plus your master double bed back there. So if you've got anybody over for a drink, Okay, wants to stop over. They've also got another bed that they can quite happily sleep in. That just slides away down there, and then we can lift that off and access under there, and that's where we found our first wet locker there, with storage in this end, with a little locker door in the end just down there. So you can see that you've got access into that corner from by the front door, and access underneath there by lifting up the cushions like so, and then that just drops back into there. That one goes back into there like that, and then I can put all the cushions nicely back, 1 and 2. Okay, now I'm going to do the same on this side because there's a little bit more going on under here that we need to have a little look at. So we'll just stand that up over there like so, and that one down there, and lift up that seat there, and then we can see underneath this seat here, okay, we've got, there is my fresh water tank in the front. Okay, so that's full from the barrel outside. I've already filled that one. Okay, so that doubles up as a secondary tank or a reserve or an emergency tank, whatever you want to call it. If you choose to fill it, you don't have to fill it. The water system, well, there it is coming in from the back there. Okay, and to fill that, I just need to turn that valve round like so, and then that will start to fill that fresh water tank up and take the water in and fill up the tank. There's an internal pump in there. That pump will come out, take the water out, okay, through a pressure switch there, and then put it back into the system. If I'm using the barrel outside, I take it in, it goes through there and straight through, and it's all done on a toggle switch on the panel up there, internal and external, and that will choose where the pump is taking or coming from. Okay, and it's as straightforward as that really. You don't need to use it, you can just go direct from outside, or you can fill it and then carry on and use outside. So here is my boiler. We discussed that, we saw the flue going outside, and this is my Audi heating system. So it's what's known as a wet heating system. It's got an expansion tank in there, and so that when the heating, the heating gets hot, it's got room for expansion, very much like your central heating system at home. Pump on here, pumps the water round the system, round the radiators, through the fins and back to the boiler cold. Once it comes back to the boiler, it then reheats it and goes back through again. Very efficient, very good system. It can be used on gas and or electric, as we said, and we also talked about draining, and just down underneath here is my drain valve for the boiler, so I can drain the boiler from that yellow lever down there. I'm going to leave these cushions out because we'll see that at the end when we drain this down. As I said, we always drain our systems down prior to collection, so does two things: you get the hang of how to do it, and B, an understanding of it all as well, and the thrill of filling it up for the first time. On the end of our kitchen here, we've got a kitchen worktop, comes up, and the easiest thing to do with that is there's two little buttons on the end of each hinge. Push those up, releases those and drops that back down like so. And we've got our 1, 2 reading lights and 2 on the other side, and they're all directional, so you can direct it to onto your book for reading in the evening, etc, etc, or just setting the mood as you choose to do so. The 2 switches just up here, 1 and 2, okay, that one does my lights, my downlighters, and these 2 do my 4 lights at the front there. Now you'll find when you get your van, all your lights should be switched off. We've got a series of skylights through here. By pushing the button in there, I can open this skylight wide open, which gives me maximum ventilation, and then through to blackout and fly screen, so I can set and shade in any given position like so. And once I've finished, I've got a couple of positions I can set it in on its way down, and then finally always make sure they're locked and shut. This one operates exactly the same, just a different size unit there, and the one above the bed is the same as the one we've just seen at the front. So what we've seen here is our lounge, dining room, okay, extra bedroom, all right, all built into one. Down in the front there, more storage, it's a good shoe cupboard, that one down under there, in all honesty. And then through here we've got corner unit for storage, We've got that access locker door there to that storage underneath that bed there. We've got our 240 volt, 12 volt and TV aerial point here, so I can sit a telly on there, all right, and watch my TV from there. And that was my 240, along with a couple of 240 volt sockets over there, okay, and a couple of 240 volt sockets sat in that front corner down there. Now please don't forget, you will only be able to operate your hairdryer, curlers, straighteners, tongs, rollers, shavers, razors, kettles, toasters, etc, etc, if you're plugged into mains electric. So anything domesticated will only operate if I'm on a mains lead. If I've not got that mains lead connected, don't attempt to use those because they won't work. Nor would your microwave. Now your microwave looks like it's switched off, but it's got an eco button in there, so it goes to sleep. Press the eco button, it wakes it up. Press the start there, and you can increase it in 30-second increments and set it to do bread, soup, etc, etc. Bread, soup, heating up, baked beans, jacket potatoes. And inside there we've got our glass plate and our rotisserie that it spins around on. When you come to collect your van, you will find that that plate is in your handbook pack in the second drawer down. That will automatically now go back to sleep. Down in the front I've got more storage, plate rack, mug rack, shelves on the side, not forgetting to keep it lightweight stuff up the top. I've got a nice wines and beer spirit cabinet just in there like so, and the two switches just here do my downlighters and there, okay, and the other one does my downlighters just underneath there like so. Underneath my kitchen, release the button. I've got another nice curved kitchen unit there. Close it up, push the button in for transit, open that one. I've got my cutlery drawer in there like so, and there I've got my storage cupboard down under this side. Now that storage cupboard there are all my gas isolating valves. So those gas isolating valves marked on the ends will do my fridge, my barbecue, my boiler and my cooker, all identified on that label on the side of which one each does what. The socket in the back will power the hot plate, the electric hot plate on the top of my oven just there. So that's where that's plugged into. So if for any reason that doesn't work, there might be a possibility somebody's pulled a plug out from underneath. Down underneath there, we've then come to our small miniature pan cupboard to put some of our pans, pots and pans in for cooking in our van. We then come along to our oven and hob and grill, etc. So to operate the oven, turn it through to maximum, press it, gas it, ignite it, light it, hold it, then release it, and there when we can set it from 1/4 through to 9. 6, 7 is about ideal for fish fingers and chips, okay, in a sensible time scale. Very good ovens, very efficient. The grill above here, we've got grill pan handle, go through, same procedure, in, gas it, ignite it, light it, hold it, release it, minimum through to maximum, so you can speed up how quick you burn your toast in the morning. That must leave the other 3 to do the hobs on the top. Push it, gas it, light it, ignite it, 1, 2 and 3. Always remember to light these when you turn your gas on. It just allows to purge any air that may well have got in the system, and they will go round through to minimum all the way back to maximum. So from a simmer ring back to maximum, 1, 2 and 3 and back. And then the back hob there, okay, that will start to, you can see the red light on there. It's just going to start to dry out now. There we start to go, okay, and you can see it steaming. I don't want to get it too hot because I want to drop the grass lid down, so I'm just going to dry that off. But you can see that's all functioning all well, and pull the lid down like so. That then reveals your fly screen and blackout blind on there. Slightly different, not the concertina, they're white vinyl blinds. Okay, turning around here above there, we've got our Truma solar power panel. Now this van will charge the Leisure battery that we'll see very shortly. Now it will do it 3 ways because we've got the solar panel, which will take all the rays from the sun today and charge that, okay, and then it will do it on 240, and it will do it when we're traveling as well. So it's fairly well charged on there, so if you're even in storage, your battery's going to stay maintained. As we said about your fridge and freezer, you can see there it looks very domesticated. Okay, it just operates slightly different. There we've made a great big chunky chunk of ice, okay, to show you that it's all working nicely. Down here we've got our solid crisper shells in there, etc. Little tip is, if you just press that in and pull that out, that will naturally put that into a vented position. So when you're not using your fridge, okay, you can put it into the vented position, and that will stop any mildew bacterial growth in there while you're laid up for your next trip. Okay, the operation of this is the fridge dials are just behind here, like so. All right, so we come across and we talked about electric, gas, and the battery is from our 12 volts of our tow vehicle. It doesn't work off a battery, it's a charging system of our tow vehicle. It stays fairly dull. I've got to press it twice to make it wake up once, and then I can change over. So you can see I was on gas, I've now chosen electric. I can then go back to gas and it will automatically ignite and light on gas. If I choose the 12 volts now, it's going to start to alarm because I'm not connected to a tow vehicle, therefore my 12 volts aren't operational. So go straight back to my 240 and my fridge is fine. Through there is my temperature, so I've got minimum going through to maximum coldness. So I normally have that set as I have on about 3 bars. In the summertime like now, I might want it up a little bit more to get it that bit cooler. If I have a fridge alarm problem, okay, like that, to reset it, I can press there and reset. Okay, if it doesn't reset, I can then switch it off. It's not going to reset because I haven't got my tow vehicle connected, and I haven't got an alarm because my fridge is fully functioning. On the button on the left hand side, press and hold it, and that switches my fridge off, and you see the lights have now gone out. I can now close my fridge door over like so and secure it. Coming down to the cupboard below, okay, pull the handle, and down underneath here is the heart of everything electric. This is what's known as a PSU, a power supply unit. So that power supply unit there, okay, if we split it into 3 through the middle and halfway across the back, the lower half there does everything 12 volts as identified down here: lighting circuit 1 and 2, auxiliary sockets, water pump, radio, etc, etc. All the 12 volt fuses are down through there. Okay, so any problems on your 12 volts, that's the point to go. Above is everything 240, very similar to what you've got at home. So you've got your main MCBs there for your charger, your heater and your sockets, and then you've got your master RCD. So the 3 independent MCBs and the master RCD. With that RCD, we frequently want to press that little blue button just up there like so, just to make sure it trips. Now, one of the most frequently asked questions till we started doing these videos and people watch them is, I've got on site and I've got no 240, can you help me? It's very rarely, very rarely a van problem. It's normally a site problem where you've plugged into. Now, to check that it's not a van problem, if you come and press that little blue test button there, okay, and those 2 breakers don't drop off, then it is a site problem. That needs power coming in to operate it. If it doesn't drop, it's a site problem. Just run off to your site warden, say, excuse me, it's your post trip, can you come and reset it? And he'll run out, reset it for you. We said in the back half of here, the back half of there houses my battery charger on 240 volt mains. So that charger, when I'm plugged in, automatically operates and charges my Leisure battery. Okay, so that's everything electrical under there. Up onto my knees now, and we've got our wardrobe bottom cupboard there, little drawer above, and then we've got our wardrobe door just up there like so. Coming back through, just to finish off in the kitchen, taps, cold through to hot, okay, open on cold, you can hear the pumps cut in and running through to hot like so, and it should be nice and hot. All right, there we go. And what we're going to do is we'll melt the ice to prove that that's, open the plug, watch it pour away, there we are. There we go, there's your ice melting. I can mix that, I don't have to scald myself. and you can see how hot that is because it's melted that great big lump of ice pretty quick and pretty fast, really. Okay, you may be heard because we've got the cushion up, the pump cut in and now switched off again, because it works once the system's fully up and primed, it will then close off. So cold through to hot operates like so. They look very domesticated, but please remember they're only plastic and quite fragile units. Okay, because I've had hot water here, I'm guaranteed to have it through the rest of the system because it's one boiler feeds the whole of the system. So now we've seen the kitchen and how all that operates. So now we're coming through to the bedroom area. We've now got another 240 volt socket, 12 and TV area, so I can sit a TV on there to watch it in bed. I've got my light switch there that does my mood lights, or overhead lights on that side. And in here, I've got the socket for the microwave and a vanity unit. Not forgetting I can use that one there if I'm plugged into electric to dry my hair, etc. We said we've had the wardrobe at the top, and then we've got our cupboards and shelves up there. Each side's got its own independent reading light, 1 and 2, and the left hand side here switches the downlighters off from there. Lifting up the bed like so, that bed will come up, and then underneath the bed here, what we find is we've got our freestanding table. So there we have a freestanding table that we can use inside or outside if I've got more people coming through. The leisure battery we were discussing is sat down underneath the floor here, and there's my leisure battery, which is charged from solar, 240 when I'm plugged in, and the car when I'm traveling. Okay, and that supplies everything 12 volts, lights, pumps, etc, etc. This battery will stop on here, they don't normally, okay, but that battery will stop on this fan for the simple reason solar needs something to work to, so it's working away. It needs it to put the charge somewhere, so we leave the battery on. There are no guarantees with a battery in this van. Okay, it could last you 3 weeks, it could last you 3 months, it could last you 3 years, all right, but it's there. It's one less thing to purchase at that time. You can see here, that was what we saw from outside. The mover control box is there, and the isolating for your mover is just sat in there. And there's your 240 volts coming in from outside, coming in from there, like so. And that's your heating fin system that ducts it all around the van. Okay, I can then drop that bed down like that, and I can then fetch the bed forwards and so, and drop that in there like that, and I can extend the length of the bed but still get round it in the evening if I'm a taller person. Okay, or I can just put it back like so, okay, just like that, and have it at that length like that. Coming through to this side, we can see here we've got our light under there, overhead cupboard, and in the back of this wardrobe here, this is my header tank. Okay, this is the header tank for the boiler. All right, so the expansion tank for the heating system, Audi. It's got the fluid level halfway. It's not running now because it's too warm to get it generated to give it up, but that will bubble away in there. If it gets down to minimum, that's okay. Okay, you just need to see a level in it, because when it gets hot, it expands. So you don't want it to come up too much, otherwise it'll bubble away and splash over the top. So just between, just above the minimum is the ideal place for it. Okay, and then you've got a cupboard there and another cupboard down underneath there, like so. We now come through to our bathroom, and you can see you've got a lovely shower round through here. Okay, and that shower will operate from there. The tap's just inside, and again, because I've got hot water, I'm going to guarantee to have hot water. It'll just take that a little bit longer. It's pulling it from the front through to the back. Okay, there you go. Well, that is hot. Yeah, and I can mix that, and you can see what a wonderful pressure you've got in that shower. By having such a wonderful pressure in the shower, it's got one disadvantage. That disadvantage being that everyone will want to stand under it and use all your water. It's not like being at home. So I strongly suggest that you get in, get wet, switch off, soap down, wash your hair, rinse off, get out, let the next person in. It's surprising how much you can get through in that period of time, how many people. Top there operates the same, window operates the same, nice mirror on here, clips out, okay, so we can concertina out for shaving and razor in the morning, etc. Toothbrush holder, vanity cupboard up and below, radiator in the bathroom there. And we said about our kitchen, our toilet, no different to being at home. Well, it's got one difference. You can swivel the toilet to give you the best seating position that you need. Once that's swiveled, you can lift the lid up, and whether you choose to stand or sit to go to the toilet, you can then go to the toilet as you would normally. And then what you do is the lever on the side, the grey lever there, push it back, opens that gate, press that, pump water, pink fluid comes round, flushes the toilet. Once it's finished and everything's dropped away down in there, always get hold of the grey lever and close it over like so. That does two things. It allows the operator the ease to extract the toilet first time every time, okay, and it also retains the smells in the toilet and not in your van. You've got a pull cord just there like so, which switches out my lights. I can independently switch that light out if I wanted to, okay, from there, and I've got two lights on, one a mid position off or on there. Bathroom door, when you're on site in use, slides backwards and forwards. However, before you depart, always make sure that you put that catch over. These shower doors love to go for a shower when you're travelling down the road and then end up in bed actually putting their marking stuff en route. So always make sure your shower door is clipped back prior to transit. So we're now seeing the bedroom and the bathroom, or the ensuite. So we now come through. The noisy bits here are our smoke detector and carbon monoxide detector. And then we just come up to our boiler panel over on this side over here. So here we have our Audi control panel. The on-off button's on the left, the menu button's on the right. It's showing me that I've got my room temperature is 26 degrees and I'm plugged into mains electric. If I press the menu button like so, I've got the temperature set at minimum. If I move that up now, I can take that all the way up to 30 degrees. Okay, I've got to keep tapping it to get it up there. It's one move, I can't press it and hold it, but this is no different to your room thermostat at home. So it's up at 30 degrees now. Okay, the next one down is my water. That's my shower there, and I can set that from off to 60 degrees there, or boost. If I select boost, then it will prioritize all of the hot water over and above the heating. If I have it at normal, it will do heating and hot water. The little lightning strike is my electric 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatts or 3 kilowatts. And the flame in the bottom left hand corner is my gas on, gas off, gas on. Just heard it click in there. If I go back to the front screen, what you'll now see is my room temperature 26. My electric's on, but I've got a circulation sign there, which means now the heating pump is running and starting to take the water around the system to get my van up to 30 degrees. If I come back out of there and put my water onto boost like so, okay, and then go back, you'll find that circulation stopped. That is because the boost system is overridden, stopped heating the van, prioritised my hot water. Come back like so, and there it's now doing heating and hot water. That is all you realistically need to know. When you get confident with it, you can go into settings. I'll just check the priority is electric, so if I'm using it like I've got it now on gas and electric, it will automatically prioritize electric, so if it doesn't need gas it won't use it. I've got screen dimmers, lights, timers, etc, and I can go all the way through. The most important one is reset, so I can press the reset and reset that all back to factory settings, okay, should I get myself in a bit of a pickle. Return key there takes you back to the front screen. I've just heard the boiler kick in on gas, so I can now switch the gas off. I can go through, just reiterate as we go, back through, that's my electrics now off. I'm going to switch my hot water off because we finished with it, and I'm going to take the temperature back down to some normal level so that when you get in here it's going to be quite normal for this time of year. I'm going to set that about 19 degrees for you should you come to want to use it. Okay, and to switch your heating control panel off, the on-off button just there, press it and it's now switched off. Always get into the habit of switching that control panel off prior to switching anything else off before you get ready to leave. It doesn't like to get interrupted on 12 volts, and if I switch the master off it'll interrupt it, come back on, you have a risk it might give you a fault code and need to reset it. If you switch it off like I have done there, when you come to switch it back on it'll be fine first time every time. The small panel that we've got here, that is my awning light, the bottom right hand switch, okay, there on and off like so, okay. The other one is my internal light, so it doesn't matter how many internal lights I've got on. For example, if I switch that switch off there, bottom left, it switches all the lighting circuit off, okay. I tend to make sure they're all switched off so you have the fun of switching them off and then you know where they are when you come to switch them back on again. So that's a master switch for my whole lighting circuit. The top right is my water pump. So I've got internal and external. So I've been running off my internal pump. There you can hear it coming off the internal tank like so. If I switch that off and go external like so, that will then take water from the pump outside through the system. If I change that valve over, it would take water from outside and fill my internal tank. Okay. If I switch the pump off completely, the pump won't run, okay, and I won't get water out. Put the pump on and the water's on. Showing in the top gauge my battery voltage 13.9 volts, and the switch top left hand corner is my master switch, which knocks the whole power off to everything in my van. So that's now got my whole power off. So that's the tour around all completed. What we're going to do now is talk about winterization and draining the van down. Now normally what you would do when you finish your trip is you go outside, take your water barrel out, take your pump out, store them away and then come back in and start to drain your van. What I'm actually going to do is I'll do that in a minute when we go outside. So I'm going to drain the van from inside. So what we do is we've disconnected all of that, the pump's switched off. We want to empty the fresh water tank at the front, and we do that by opening that valve on that valve block there. Okay, so we need it parallel, all right, to the floor, and then vertically up is in the closed position. That's open, so that will empty that fresh water tank to ground, and that is now going to empty my boiler to ground. Now, two reasons we do this. You want to do this in the summer as well. You don't really want to be carrying that extra weight of water in the front corner. A litre of weight is a kilo. A litre of water is equal to a kilo of weight. Okay, so that's now draining away, but this is more for winterization. These caravans, when they're not occupied, don't take kindly too much to frost. Okay, they will cause you an awful lot of damage on taps and pipe work. As you saw when we looked through underneath there, all your pipe work in here is plastic push fit Jubilee clip pipe work. If water freezes, it expands, it's got the risk of damaging those pipes. Okay, the other thing we also do is get our taps and open them all the way up halfway between hot and cold on all three of your taps, halfway between hot and cold. And there is a reason we do this, and the reason we do this is should the water freeze in the winter, okay, it has got room for expansion. So if you come in here and you find you've got an icicle from there to there, that's great news because it's managed to expand. If I'd left that closed, all it's going to do is rupture the pipework, the taps and damage, and when I come to use it next season, I'm going to have all sorts of leaks springing around all over the place. So it's really important that you winterize your caravan, and that is a process for doing it. So it's winterized, which is how you're going to collect it. What's the first thing you do when you get home or get on site on your first trip and you're all excited to use it? Okay, well the first thing you're going to do is get your water barrel, take it away, on site, fill it up with water, fetch the barrel back. Then you're going to get your pump and put the pump into the barrel and plug it into the side of the caravan. You're then going to come into your caravan, you're going to move that mattress and you're going to turn the drain on the front tank, if you want to use it, into the closed position upright, and you're going to take the yellow one from the upright position to the parallel to the floor position, which will close the drain on the boiler. Okay, you don't need to do the freshwater tank at all, but your boiler must close it parallel to the floor. You're then going to come round and close all your taps 1, 2 and 3. Once you've done that, you'll come along to your panel, switch on the top switch, top left hand switch, which is your master switch, and then go through and switch your water pump onto external. From the external pump there, you then come round, open your tap onto cold, pushing it through to hot. The pump's going to run, take the water from the barrel, it's going to come in through the van, and because it's not going to fill the tank, it's going to come through and start to fill the boiler. It's a 10-litre boiler, so it needs to get 10 litres of air out, so it's going to cough and splutter for approximately 3, 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, which then gives you a chance to get your little gallon container and go and fill up your toilet tank. When you come back, you'll more than likely find that you've got a constant flow of cold water coming out of the hot side of the tap. Once you've got a constant flow of hot water coming through the cold side of the tap, you can then look to put your heating on, go and operate the same in the bathroom and the shower, wash and basin shower, just to make sure the system's purged. Okay, and if you so then choose to want to do so, you can start to fill up your front fresh water tank, go and get another barrel, fill everything up, and then you're ready, up and running. So that is how you would operate that. So that's us done inside your caravan for now. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go outside. We're going to do what we should have done, and that is to disconnect our water pump from outside, and we do that by lifting up the lid like so, pulling out the pump and lifting that up using, I tend to use these micro white fibre cloths. They're pretty wonderful really. Out they come, and you can see there's the water draining from the boiler and from my forward fresh water tank there, my internal tank. I'm just going to put this water pump here under the locker at the back, so you'll know where everything is, because everything will be under this one point. What you would now do is you would take your waste water barrel away, empty it, clean it, wipe it, store it in the van ready for transit, and you would do exactly the same with your waste master, which you would find sat just down there. Making sure you close that. You now want to come along and turn your gas off before you travel off, and you do that by operating that brass valve in a clockwise direction like so, and that's my gas bottle now switched off. The same procedure applies should you want to change from that bottle to another, and then back to front thread, we undo the connection on the end of that bottle, and when I remove that hose from that gas bottle there like so, I just make sure that that rubber cone is intact on the end, and then I can connect it to my next bottle or the first bottle when you get it. This one I'm going to take out, ready for my next demonstration. The gas hose stays in there, ready for you. I can now close that locker off, and using the one key fits all, locks on the van, close it and lock it like so. Okay, so walking around the van as we go, just checking everything. I then come round and find that I can now disconnect my mains electric, because my colleagues just disconnected it for me. I lift the lid, pull the lead, and then you would wind that up and store that away. Mine just there, ready for the next time. Okay, so your step, you'd move away. So we're getting ready now to go. So what we're going to now do is we're going to come along and take up all the corner steadies. You'll see that I put your handle away, and I'm using an extension piece onto an electric drill. It makes life that much quicker and goes through. It's so much easier to do. Okay, especially for me. Something you can buy. It also gives me the opportunity to say that here on site, everything like this extension to go in an electric drill, from that to windbreaks to awnings to chairs to tables, pots, pans, glasses, etc, etc, are all stocked in our fully stocked shop here, as well as gas, toilet chemicals, etc. So feel free to browse and spend your money in there also. Okay, so there's my 4 corner steadies now all up. Okay, and we want to get ready to connect to your tow vehicle. We could either reverse your tow vehicle straight on, and you can see if I move that, I can go up and down like so, and you can see it going down on the little spirit level in there. Okay, and you will do that to connect up to your tow vehicle. What we're going to now do is demonstrate the motor mover on here. Okay, so we have a motor mover, a handset and an isolating key, and what we want to do is extend that out and engage. It's a single wheel mover, okay, so it will just operate this front wheels on here, but it will move the van. So down with a firm hard push, and that will lock on that roller onto the tyre. And what we want to do for the first time is just make sure that both have gone on correctly. You'll become confident that they do. Yes, it has. So they're both connected onto the wheels. What I can now do is drop the handbrake off. By dropping the handbrake off, that's now not going to allow the van to move anywhere because the motor mover rollers are engaged to the tyres. We now need to pop into the van, putting the isolating key in here just beside the bed and turning it round through to the right. That's now taken power direct from the Leisure battery through to the mover control box. Once I get hold of the handset here, what I want to do then is press the button on the top, puts a green light on. That's my mover ready for operation. And there we start to move. Okay, just making sure I don't run over that. So we can move our van forwards, okay, backwards. I can swing it to the left. Okay, it will. Twin wheels are always that little bit more patient with them rather than a single axle, but it will go around and it will go back. And you can see I can operate this with precision, pinpoint accuracy of exactly where I want it. Okay, so I can park it at home alongside the wall, get it in there nice and snug and tight. But while I've got the mover on, if I want to use these Alco Secure wheel locks, okay, at least one of them, what I need to do is make sure that the yellow disc there is fitting straight in between one of those. So I can then move that back until I line this up. Okay, there we go. So with that in the position like so, that means that inside the little box here, okay, I've got my keys and I've got my mover, my wheel secure. So I can drop that into there. It comes with its own locking wheel nut there and a brace. So I can take the yellow cap out, insert that, tighten that up like so. Once that's done, that comes out. I can insert the key into there, which releases the balls on there, okay, and drops in and locks that into position. All right, so I've got double security on there, because not only have I got a patternized secure on there, I've also got another lock that goes in the end. All right, and that locks that all into position. Okay, so it's as secure as houses. All right, so that can go in there, handle and your lock, and there are two, one for each wheel. The other thing is, if you're putting the second one on, you most likely need to jack it up with the jack supplied, okay, to line that second wheel up. But one is superb on there. Okay, so with that on now, I can then come round and look to disengage my mover, but the first thing I need to do before I do that is put my handbrake on so it won't move. I can switch my handset off by pushing the button on the top right hand corner. I can then get my bar, put that onto the mover like so, and up and over and off. Okay, and that's that off like so, and then I just need to come in here and remove my isolating key, so that is removed from there, and there is my mover now completed. You will find that exactly where it is now when you come to collect your van. Okay, I think we've just about covered everything. Your tips, seeing it move on the mover, everything about it. That just gives me the opportunity to thank you for buying from us at Viscount Leisure. My name's been Chris. Thank you for watching and goodbye. Thank you.